I've had the pleasure of being the president of VIVA for the last 2 years. It's been quite an interesting 2 years. My presidency started with this controversy on paclitaxel, and VIVA worked really hard to come up with an independent data meta-analysis, which basically showed in the data we had at that point last year that there was about a 4.5% increased mortality with paclitaxel, and we had that published in Circulation this year. This year, then it was a whole new experience with COVID-19 hitting in 2020. But I'm proud to say we were able to pull off a fantastic virtual VIVA, and we had 10 amazing late-breaking clinical trials, 2 of which brought increasing clarity to the paclitaxel controversy. One, the Stellarex platform, which showed in the 2 randomized trials no difference in mortality for a low-dose paclitaxel balloon, and one in a public data set showing no increased mortality in the Voyager trial for the use of paclitaxel. That was a very rigorously controlled medicine trial and really showing that that had no effect with the use of paclitaxel in PAD patients. As we know, when Katsanos published his meta-analysis showing the 98% increased risk of mortality with paclitaxel, none of the individual randomized studies were powered to look at mortality. So one of the things we did with Philips is we wanted to pool the randomized data sets to have a bigger N and then have all the endpoints adjudicated by an independent party. The ability to pool that data sets provides an increased robustness to the knowledge of whether or not those events are real. The other thing is we wanted to know the data sets further out in time. And now that we have data through 4 years, we're able to combine the European trial as well as the pivotal US trial to really look at that mortality signal and really finding no difference at all in mortality for paclitaxel exposure compared to plain old balloon angioplasty. The important data point that we got is if we look at the pooled survival through 4 years, there was no difference. It was 85.7% for the Stellarex group and 85.6% for the angioplasty group. We also looked at the causes of mortality, and when we looked at all-cause mortality through 4 years, there was no difference. The Stellarex group was 14.3%, and it was 14.4% for the plain old balloon angioplasty group. And then if we looked at cardiovascular mortality or non-cardiovascular mortality, there was also no difference. So the big message from this data set is in the Stellarex balloon, which is a low-dose paclitaxel balloon at 2 micrograms per milliliter, there is no difference in mortality with the use of paclitaxel through 4 years. This adds to the data set knowing what's out there, and I think if this data set had been in the Katsanos meta-analysis, he may not have found a difference across platforms. The 2 really hot topics are the continued vetting of the use of paclitaxel and the advent of new devices for the tibial section. So we had data on the INTACT trial, and we've had follow-up use of stents in the ABSORB trial and tibials. And really the other amazing breakthrough area has been in the treatment of pulmonary embolism with new devices coming out in 2020 to treat pulmonary embolism and showing better efficacy in those areas, as well as the increasing advent of the use of digital technology.